Americans currently own pets, so it's safe to assume that someday all of you will own a pet too. Most people who desire to get a pet look to animal adoption agencies. The adoption of animals is now a commonplace practice in our society. I'm going to talk to you today about the history of animal adoption, the laws involving the adoption of animals, and the different options and processes involved in adopting a pet. It's common knowledge that today you can adopt an animal. Everyone knows that. But would you have ever imagined that this started 145 years ago? According to the ASPCA's official website, when the ASPCA was first formed, they gathered stray dogs every day by the hundreds, and they put them all in cages and drowned them in the East River. In 1894, the Humane Society took over, and they encouraged animal rescue within the city rather than the killing of animals. And by doing this, they set up humane societies to rescue all the animals. In 1888, animal cruelty laws were being passed. And this is when the humane societies were first formed. There were 37 locations open nationwide, and at first they focused on horses, because horses were the most necessary since they were the ones with the horse-drawn carriages. As soon as they invented the horseless carriages, dogs and cats became the main focus of the societies. Laws involving animals aren't very strict, and they vary from state to state, and generally states give the cities the freedom to create their own laws. The basic laws allow private adoption agencies the right to specify their own adoption standards as long as they are fair and equal to all potential adopters. Publicly owned agencies must adhere to the standards in accordance with the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals and Responsible Animal Management Standards related to the health and welfare of pets, and this is according to Kimberly Kilmer. The sterilization of pets, like spaying and neutering, is required to be performed by a qualified veterinarian before animals can be adopted to any of the people who want to adopt them. There are exceptions to all these laws, though. These laws don't apply to pets that are returned to their legal owners after being in a shelter, and adoption agencies in cities with their own laws are exempt from this as well. Pets owned by colleges and universities and institutions of higher education that use pets for education purposes, they're exempt too. There are also counties with a population fewer than 20,000 or cities with a population fewer than 10,000 that are exempt. There's a number of cities that forbid pet owners from adopting a certain number of pets. Like the city where I'm from, you're only allowed to have 3 pets, but it's not very enforced usually. I have 4 cats and a dog back home, and both the city and the county know, and they really don't care that much. There are many different options for someone looking to adopt an animal. Like I said, I have 5 pets back home, and I got all these pets at different places. One was from a breeder, one was from Animal Control, one from PetSmart, one was from the Animal Humane Society, and another one was from a store. These pictures depict a lot of the places you can get animals. Like that one's PetSmart, and then that's a Humane Society, and that's a foster home, and then there are other places as well. As you can see from these pictures, there are not many other animals that the animals can play with, and they don't have very many toys or anything, and it's a small cage. But they're treated as well as they can possibly be under the conditions, but ultimately they're just waiting to find homes. Going into a humane society, you're likely to see many animals in cages like this, and there's usually a couple different rooms. They're generally let out to play daily so that they're happier. And there are many advantages of legal adoption as opposed to taking in strays or buying from a breeder, because humane societies and pet stores are required to spay and neuter their animals and keep them up to date on vaccines. An example of this is the stray cat that I found. She cost us $1,000 more than the ones from the pet store and the Humane Society did. Plus, if you have another animal at home or if you have any kids, you're more likely to know the temperament because the animals in adoption places generally have been in a variety of environments already. Most adoption fees range from, you can tell that adopting is a lot cheaper than the cost of bringing it to a vet. It's generally about $200 cheaper. And the average cost fee of adopting an animal is around $75 to $150 for any type of animal. But the smaller the animal gets, like the bunnies and the ferrets and all those are generally cheaper than the dogs. Now I hope you know a little bit more about how animal adoption started and what it has grown into since then. and the laws surrounding the adoption of animals and the many different options and processes that one had to go through before they could adopt an animal. I hope you all decide to adopt a pet one day, because not only will you give an animal a loving home, but you'll find happiness because of it as well. Thank you.